Hey there, everybody. I am here. I wanted to talk about um, something the Lord showed me, and it felt like a really cool mystery or a revelation. But it had to do with these two words that the Lord has kind of, over the years, led me to pursue because I just don't understand them fully. And one of them is glory and the glory of the Lord. And the second one is covenant. And as I've been walking with the Lord, those two words have kind of started to really become more like upfront. So it was back in the winter time, the Lord kind of overlaid two stories together and showed me how one was going to be speaking to the other. And it started it's in Exodus 24. I'm not going to read the full story. Oh yeah, but I was like thinking about how to even name the video, and it is two mountains, two clouds, and two covenants. So in Exodus 24, the Lord just led the Israelites out of Egypt, and they are at Mount Sinai. And this is the moment when God is starting to communicate and to reveal himself in covenant. So he just delivered them and revealed to him his salvation, but he is about to show them that he is a covenantal God. Okay, so they are in Exodus 24, they are at the base, the elders and Moses are at the base of the mountain. And it's really interesting what they see. It says they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet paved work of sapphire stone, and it had heavy clarity. I'm like, what does that even look like? I don't know. But it's pretty amazing. So they... skipping down, they saw God and they ate and drank. I'm like, again, what does that even look like to see God on the mountain and then to eat and drink in his presence? Verse 12, this is the verse I'm going to highlight. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain." So there's the mountain. "And be there, and I will give you tablets of stone and the law and commandments which I have written, that you may teach them." So Moses arose with his assistant Joshua, and Moses went up the mountain of God. And when that happened, skipping down to verse 15, Moses went up into the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain, and the glory of the Lord rested on Mount Sinai. The cloud covered it 6 days. On the seventh day he called to Moses out of the midst of the cloud. The sight of the glory of the Lord was consuming like a fire on the top of the mountain in the eyes of the children of Israel. So Moses went into the midst of the cloud and went up into the mountain, and Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. So there's the mountain. There's the glory. The cloud came down, and God invited him into the cloud, up the mountain, into the cloud, so that he could give Moses the tablets. And if you hop down to verse, well, I don't know exactly what verse it is, but pretty much God with his finger writes on the tablets. And in this encounter, Moses receives the law and the commandments, and he receives this blueprint tabernacle that he is going to carry out with the children of Israel. So this is the first time that God is communicating, this is how I want to be in relationship with you. This is the blueprint on how we're going to meet together. This is me proposing to you, essentially, I want to be in covenant with you. And he writes it onto the stone with his finger. And I literally love this picture. I love this moment. So let's fast forward to the new covenant, to this story that forever literally felt like a mystery to me. It's like one of those stories that sticks out, and I just didn't understand it, but I always found it very fascinating. And it's the story of the Mount of Transfiguration. And this is where Jesus invites James, John, and Peter up the mountain. So look, you'll follow the symbolism. They go up the mountain, and here's what happens when they find themselves on the mountain. There's several accounts of this, but this I'm reading out of Mark chapter 9. Now, after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John and led them up on a high mountain, apart by themselves. So he took the three apart. You're going to so much similarities between the two stories. He called up a few to come up apart from the full 12. His clothes, meaning Jesus, became shining and exceedingly white like snow, such as no longer on earth can whiten them. And Elijah appeared to them with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. Then Peter answered and said to Jesus, Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Because he did not know what to say, for they were greatly afraid. And a cloud came, overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. Suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one anymore, but only Jesus with themselves. And then, as they go back down the mountain, Jesus commands them that they shouldn't tell anyone until the Son of Man has risen from the dead. So, again, there's just a lot of comparison, like a lot of similarities. Jesus leads a few up the mountain. When they get to the mountain, the glory of Jesus is revealed on the mountain as he's talking with Elijah and with Moses. And Peter, who didn't know what to say or how to responded by saying, Let me build you a tabernacle for all 3 of you. And the error that Peter made, I believe, one of the errors that Peter made, that we all would make, is that Peter wanted to make a tabernacle that is equal between Elijah, Moses, and Jesus, making this tabernacle, this dwelling place for all 3 of them that would have been equal. And what was interesting to me was that Peter called him Rabbi, but it was only the chapter before that Peter confessed that he was the Son of God. But in this passage, Peter called him Rabbi, teacher. And the Father did what he did on the other mountain. The cloud came down and interrupted Peter in his response to Jesus and what he was seeing. And he interrupted him with the cloud that came down. And out of that cloud, the Lord said, hang with me. The Lord said, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And after that cloud lifted, it was Jesus and Jesus alone. And I love that picture. So out of the first cloud on Mount Sinai came tablets that were written by the finger of God to teach the children of God how to be in covenant with him. But on this mountain, the greater Messiah was here. And when the cloud came down, Elijah and Moses disappeared, and it was Christ alone. It was Jesus alone. And the Father's instruction was not to give him a blueprint to build a tabernacle, but his instruction was to look at my son and listen to my son. And Jesus Christ himself is the way to the true tabernacle, becoming truly the place where God dwells with man. And I just am like, it went from like an instruction manual to a living God, the Son of God in the flesh. And Peter, who had the revelation of Jesus as the Son, had not fully set into his heart. And so instead he knee-jerk reacted and said, let me build you something. And out of his own strength, his own response, out of his own efforts, he wanted to create something for God, but it was not the blueprint that God desired, which is following after that covenant with Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who stands alone. And even the other day I was thinking about this, and because I was thinking about I call it Peter's error, but we all do this, how we want to build something for God, oftentimes out of our own strength in a way, but it was, I believe, the passage right before, I think, when Jesus said to Peter, your name is Peter, and upon this rock, I will build my church. And I loved that, because I was like, wow, Peter had it in his heart to build. Peter was designed by God to create and to build. And in that moment, in that moment on the mountain, he was like, let me build you something. But Jesus had something way different in mind. Something, a city not built by human hands. That Jesus would redeem in Peter to build a church of people that the gates of hell will never prevail against. So I just thought that was beautiful, because the Lord is such a redeemer, and he puts those things in our heart from the beginning. But all that being said, is you go back to the two mountains, the two clouds, and I just wondered, I was like, what would it be like to be in that cloud of glory? Obviously terrifying. Obviously that cloud of glory was not floating on the clouds like we think of angels doing in heaven. It was terrifying. And to be Peter, where you're being interrupted, your effort was being interrupted by the Father in heaven. Wow. And in that last piece, that covenant piece, is the rocks, the tabernacle blueprint to the new covenant. The greater covenant was Christ and Christ alone. And I just, as the Lord is leading me into knowing his glory, pursuing him in glory, and walking in covenant, I just see how he continues to like strip away those efforts, or strip away what I think I should build for him, and letting him do a greater work. So anyways, wanted to share it. I just thought it was really cool, and still think it would be amazing to see Jesus transfigured on a mountain. Maybe the Lord will allow me to see something like that one day. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later.